Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series. We cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Isaiah 36 and Revelation chapter 2. Now, Isaiah 36 is essentially about intimidation. The previous 35 chapters have hinged largely on a prophesied invasion of the Assyrians over the Israelites. And so that happened. And now in hindsight, Isaiah gives a historical account of what happens. The Syrian army swept down from the north, conquering Syria and conquering Israel, just like Isaiah prophesied. And this is what it says in verse 1. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. So now northern kingdom captured. But this is what happens. A field commander comes out at this place called the Upper Pool, and he gets hold of the leaders of Jerusalem, and he basically says to them, don't let Hezekiah convince you to carry on this futile battle. I think right now of the Russians coming against the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainian president trying to hold out, and the Russian president saying, surrender. This is ridiculous what you're trying to do. This is exactly what happened here. And eventually the commanders of the Jerusalem forces say, listen, speak to us in Aramaic, because we understand that language. Don't let our locals understand. So he deliberately goes off in Hebrew so that everybody understands. Don't let Hezekiah convince you that God's going to deliver you. No one's going to deliver you. In fact, this is what he says. In fact, God has told me to come and take you guys out. He taunts them. He says, look, I'll give you 2,000 horses if you can find horsemen to ride them to come and take us on. And so essentially this is about intimidation. Now, Revelation chapter 2 sees Jesus standing among 7 lampstands. Now, we're told in Revelation 1:20 that those lampstands represent churches, actual churches in those days. Jesus has a message to them. He says to the angel or the messenger or the elder of that church, I want to talk to you specifically. Now, every time I read Revelation 2 and 3, I not only see it in the context of those actual churches in those days, but what Jesus is talking about is relevant to every church today. And so as we go through this, we should search our hearts as part of the body of Christ and say, Lord, are you saying this to us right now? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you a challenge. In chapter 2, there are 4 churches. So it starts with Ephesus. And then what Jesus does is he presents, this is who is speaking to you. And he presents something about himself, which speaks directly into the issue that they've got to adjust. Because remember, maturity is becoming more like Jesus. So Jesus says, this is who I am. In one of the churches, he says, I've got this sword of truth coming out of my mouth. And then he's basically saying to them, don't tolerate heresy. I am truth. Get to know me, and you'll be able to overcome that heresy. So this is my encouragement to you. I mean, these churches are represented by lampstands, light in a dark, dark world. And Jesus basically says to the churches, I want to tend to the light. I want to see you reflect my glory more and more. So he presents himself. He commends them for how they are doing well. And then he says, this is the adjustment that's necessary. This is how you become more like me. And so this is my challenge to you today. Have a look at all those churches. So the first one's Ephesus, which was a major city in Asia Minor, about 250 to 500,000 people. The Thyatira, still there today, could seat 25,000 people. Also had the temple to the goddess Diana there. And then he talks about the church of Smyrna. Now in that church, big and beautiful, had the temple to Zeus there. And there was quite a bit of persecution that went on in that place. And then there were the churches of Pergamum and Thyatira. Now, in both these instances, there was all sorts of syncretism and other worship going on. And he was basically saying to the churches, hold steady, hold steady. So here's my challenge to you. Read through chapter 2. Say, what is Jesus presenting as himself? How does he want it adjusted? And what is he commending these churches for? God bless you.